Concept 4, multiplying polynomials. Alright, so we have learned the FOIL method for multiplying two binomials, but when we start getting into larger polynomials, so polynomials with more than two terms, the FOIL method doesn't work, right? But the idea behind the FOIL method is that we're trying to multiply each term in our polynomial by each term in our other polynomials. Okay? So we can kind of do that same thing. We're basically just going to distribute out each of our terms. So I've got my first term here, and I'm going to distribute it to all of my other terms. So I'm going to do x times x squared, x times 3x, and x times 4. And then for my second term, 2 times x squared, 2 times 3x, 2 times 4. Okay? So x times x squared is going to be x cubed. X times 3x is a positive 3x squared. X times 4 is going to be 4x. 2 times x squared is going to be 2x squared, positive 2x squared. 2 times 3x is going to be 6x, and 2 times 4 is 8. Okay? And now I have all my different terms. I can combine my like terms and simplify down to my resulting polynomial. Okay? So I've got x cubed. That one's going to stay 3x squared plus 2x squared. And I sometimes start to take shortcuts with these and not identify my like terms as well as I should. But it does help to identify those like terms so you don't make any mistakes. Okay, so 3x squared plus 2x squared is going to be 5x squared. 4x plus 6x, 10x, plus 8. Okay. And there's my resulting polynomial. By multiplying the first term by all the other terms, and then the second term by all the other terms in your polynomial, or in your other polynomial, you can get all of your terms. Okay? Now, this is for multiplying two polynomials together. Two polynomials where at least one of them is larger than a binomial. Alright, and that's pretty easy to keep track of. You know, it's not too hard to make sure that you get all your terms, and you should be able to tell how many terms you will have just by multiplying the number of terms in each of your polynomials. Right? So I've got 2 terms in this one, 3 terms in this one, so I should have 6 altogether, and then simplify down to some other number of terms. Okay? Now, when we have more than 2 polynomials, things get trickier, and there's 2 methods, 2 ways to go about this. Okay, we can take our time and do 2 of our polynomials at a time. All right, and in this case, we've got this binomial, and we're squaring it, and then we're multiplying that by a second binomial. Okay, so this is actually going to be x plus 2 times x plus 2 times 2x plus 3. Okay, so don't be afraid if it's got a square or a cube outside the parentheses. It just means you're going to multiply them together. Okay, so now I've got my 3 binomials here, and what I'm going to basically do is set one of these aside. I'm going to say, okay, this is all multiplication, right? This is multiplying, this is multiplying. I'm going to wait on this. I'm going to leave that off to the side. I'm going to multiply these 2 together. Okay, and now I'm going to do my FOIL. Okay, so first it's going to be x squared, And then outside is going to be 2x. Inside is going to be 2x plus 2x. Yeah, I'm getting messy. And then last is going to be plus 4. So I have x squared plus 2x plus 2x, 4x plus 4. Okay? And that's just my first step. That's combining these two polynomials. Okay? In this case, these two binomials. And now I've got to bring down my other one and say, okay, I've still got 2x plus 3. Okay? And depending on how you want to do it, you can, I like to have my smaller polynomial, my polynomial with less terms first. I find it easier to keep track of. So I'm going to have 2x plus 3 when I multiply my terms out. So I've got 2x plus 3, 2x times x squared is going to be 2x cubed, 2x times 4x, 8x squared, 2x times 4 is going to be 8x, 3x times x squared, 3x squared, 3 times 4x, 12x, 3 times 4 is 12, and now I can combine all my like terms to get my polynomial. So I've got x squareds, x's, and I've got 2x cubed plus 8x squared plus 3x squared is 11, x squared plus 8x plus 12x is squared plus 20x plus 12. Okay, so you can see that way is fairly straightforward. We're just kind of chunking our problem. So we're doing 2 of our polynomials at a time. And then if I was, say, multiplying 4 or 5 polynomials all by each other, I would just have to repeat this step where I keep adding in, excuse me, adding in that next polynomial. And my product would keep getting bigger and bigger. Okay. The second method is all at once. All right. So if let's just pull this one down. I've got x plus 2. I'm going to do the same one. X plus 2. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I'm going to change it so that you guys can see. We're going to go x minus 2, x minus 2, and 2x plus 3. Okay. All right. So the second method is doing it all at once. This can save some time, but you are more likely to make mistakes. Okay, so be careful if you try and do it this way. So basically what I'm doing now is the same as when we have just 2 polynomials. I'm starting with my first term. So I'm going to go my first term, my first term, and my first term. Okay, so x times 2x. So that's going to be 2, and then I've got 3x, 2x cubed. And then I've got to do my x, my first term, times my first term, times my second term. Okay, so that's going to be x squared, 3x squared. Okay, I've now taken care of both of those possibilities for this first term and this first term. So now I got to go, I'm going to change color. I got to go my first term to my second term to my first term. So x times negative 2 times 2x. So I'm going to do negative 2 times 2, should be negative 4. And I've got x times x, negative 4x squared. Okay? And now I got to go first term to second term to second term. And that's going to be x times negative 2 times 3. So it's going to be a negative 6x. Okay? So I've done every possibility using the first term of my first polynomial. Right? I've done both of the ones with the first term in my second polynomial and both of the ones with the second term in my second polynomial. Now, and I'm going to need some more room. Maybe just move this up. Now, I got to go and take care of my second term in my first polynomial. So, negative 2. So, second term to first term to first term. That's going to be negative 2 times x times 2x. So, that'll be a negative 4x squared. And then I've got negative 2 times x times 3, which would be a negative 6x. And you can see I'm getting some repeats in here. And then second term to the second term to the first term. Let's move some of this over, see if I get enough room to do it all in one. Alright, so negative 2 times negative 2 times 2x, so this would be a positive 4. 4 times 2x is going to be positive 8x. Okay. And then my last one, negative 2 times negative 2 times 3. So that's going to be, again, positive 4 times 3 is going to be plus 12. Alright, so you can see this can get more complicated and harder to keep track of, but I am able to do it all kind of in one step. Okay, so if you have a simple set of 3 like this, like 3 binomials, it's pretty doable. If you start getting into more than 3, or where you have maybe trinomials or even larger term polynomials, it's going to get real complicated. Alright, so now I got to come back and add all my like terms. So I've got my 3x squared, negative 4x squared, negative 4x squared. And I've got my negative 6x, negative 6x, and my 8x. And I've got my x cubed and my just constants. So I'm going to bring that down. 2x cubed, positive 3x squared, minus 4x squared would be a negative 1x squared, minus 4x squared would be a negative 5x squared. Okay. And then a negative 6x and a negative 6x would be a negative 12x, plus 8x would be a negative 4x, and then plus 12. Okay. And I'm done. Once again, you have both methods at your disposal. You can choose which one you want to use. Method 2, a little bit harder to keep track of things, but saves you some time, saves you some steps in some cases. Method 1 takes a little bit more to get there, but it's much more consistent.